Good evening.
Hi.
Welcome to yet another edition of Poly Talk.
With Spot and Kristin.
Why are you talking seductively?
Because it's Poly Talk.
Have you been practicing?
No.
Hold on, let me turn the music down. Good evening, everyone. Our third installment. Little bit to catch you up on. I feel like actually we have a few things to catch up on. Kristin has made notes to keep track of things we need to discuss. So we'll get into that. And yeah. So we last left off with let's check in real quick. We last left off with a recap on our threesome, which was exciting. No threesome since then. Sorry to let you down.
Not much activity since then, actually.
Kristin hooked up with a guy with a huge dick, and I've been processing that ever since. And what else? I have an update on one of my partners. Kristin has an update on one of her partners. And we'll just take it from there. Welcome to the Polybed. Sponsored by Hims. Poly Talk is sponsored by Hims. For all your male enhancement needs. Hims. Go to hims.com. We're not actually sponsored. I just thought it would be. Well, maybe if we keep saying it, it'll happen. I don't know. Put it out in the universe. Poly Talk, sponsored by Hims. So, where do we want to pick up? Do you want me to start, or you want to start?
I think you should start.
All right. So, a couple things. Should we backtrack? Let's backtrack. We'll start with yesterday. As heard on the show, the Covino and Rich program, weekdays on Patreon. So yesterday, I had my scheduled sex appointment for Saturday with a partner that I've hooked up with once before. So someone that I went on a date with, hooked up with a month ago. Or it was like before that. It was like a week before the holidays. We'll call her J. Kristin likes to use initials. It annoys me, but that's like her way to provide anonymity.
It's a way to protect people's boundaries and identity. It's more fair.
It just sounds weird. But she actually refers to one of her partners. She uses the initial with me. I'm like, just call him by his name. Call him by his name. It's weird. Anyway, I need to be much drunker for this. I feel like I was already a glass in of wine last week. This week we're drinking on some old fashions. Cheers.
Bottoms up.
Bottoms up. So yesterday I had my sex appointment.
It's a little bit more than a sex appointment. You make it sound very tasteless.
Right. So I personally, and there are a lot of people in the dating, and I would argue non-monogamous world that are strictly in it for the sex. They're just looking for, actual sex appointments. Like they don't want any sort of connection. They just want to get together, hook up, move on. Like, it's especially, let me tell you, especially with the guys.
I have one of those.
I know you do.
He lives nearby too. So it's easy to do that with people who live like right down the street.
Is it? I thought he's a sex appointment guy.
It's like we don't have as much of a connection as I have with other people. I go over there, we sit on the couch for like 20 minutes and like talk and kiss, and like within 30 minutes we're having sex.
Here's the thing. It's like we're all adults. Like I even say this with people that when I'm first interacting with them. Men are much more direct. And I've said this before, but men are much more direct. So when you connect with a guy, and you're like, oh, you're just going back and forth. What are you into? What do you do? What do you like? Where do you live? Blah. Hey, let's get together. It's like, oh, do you want to meet for a drink, or do you want to like go by you or by? It's like we all know what it's gonna end. It's gonna end at one of our places, and like there's gonna be either some sort of heavy makeout.
A lot of women, especially straight women, are not like that.
Straight women are not like that. And they expect much more. That being said, I'm very good at
Single women aren't like that either.
Single women are not like that. But I'm very good at the car makeout. I've developed great skills at making out in a vehicle. You have to deal with the center console.
So you're in the front.
You're in the front. You have to figure out a place to park. So, you can't park in a place that's too well lit.
But you also can't park in a place where there's a lot of soliciting happening, probably.
You can't park in a place where like people are going to be walking by. Usually side streets are great for this. Not a lot of street lamps. You just kind of sit in the front seat. You turn the car off. You have to make sure the lights go off. And then you just going to hang out. Sometimes the dick comes out. Sometimes it doesn't. But I've gotten quite adept at that. So, yeah, if there's an assumption, it's like when you connect on these apps, you find each other attractive. That's a given because everyone leads with their eyes. So I think what the date is a way of being like, okay, this person's not a psycho.
Are you who your photos
Your
show
photos
you to be?
match up pretty much. And
Can you have a conversation?
you can hold a conversation. If you can check those 3 boxes, is it the same
then
for
you?
you?
Can check my 4th box.
Then you can check out her box. All right, that's it for tonight. All right. Then you can, then it's pretty much on. And you're just delaying the inevitable, and it's like I told you, the one partner I have, she's like, the second you walked in and we started talking, I'm like, I knew I was gonna have sex with you at some point. So, anyway, moving on. Back to yesterday. So this is someone that I went on a date with. We ended up making out in her car makeout. Really adept at it. It was in the back seat though, not the front seat. And just had a really strong connection. And then set up a appointment to just like have her come over and just like have fun. Just to, we just skipped right. This is the one that like came over at 9 a.m. on a Saturday morning.
And this works great on Saturdays because I'm at work all day. So I'm busy. I'm never going to be here really on a Saturday unless it's a holiday. It's perfect.
If you remember Poly Talk episode 2, where there were 2 instances where I went to the gym and sat in the car so she could have the hookup with this guy. And then 2 days later, when he wanted to hook up again with his giant, massive cock, I stayed at work for her. So like having to deal with it's difficult when you're balancing and creating the schedule and trying to coordinate hosting and all of that. So it's easy when she has to work or she has a date. I can host here. And
so this Thursday I have a date with a regular person that I've seen a lot. I stay over at his place, so it would be a great opportunity for my husband to host.
Right. I don't know who I'm going to host, but we'll see. I'll ask around. And generally I'll try and schedule something, or I'll take that as a night off. Let's see. I feel like I just saw someone asked a question, and I just want to address it. Oh, Funky Monkey. Hello, Funky Monkey. Hello. Good to hear from you. Does small talk ever get too personal to where you need to stop it and redirect? You know what? Let's pause on that. We'll come back to it in a minute. But we've acknowledged your question, and we'll get to it in a bit. So back to yesterday. So this is the person that acknowledges she's also in a relationship. She's married. She knows I'm married. She was willing. She's very respectful. Incredibly respectful. This is the girl that brought...
She's a therapist, so she has fantastic boundaries.
And this is the girl... She's actually very similar in like behavior and thought to my wife, which is very interesting. Like she gets
not
it.
sexually and not looks-wise.
Not sexually and looks-wise, but
just
like...
regular social personality-wise.
Right. So it's kind of refreshing because like I've dealt with a lot of wackadoos, especially women. There's a lot of like... all over the place, and we'll get to that in a minute. Update on that. So she gets it. She's very respectful. She came over. The first time she came, she brought me croissants, and she brought Kristin macaroons, French macaroons.
Really good macaroons.
Which were
so good.
Really good. You didn't leave you were going to say you were going to leave a thank you note. You didn't. Anyway. So she even came over. She's like, oh, I want to make sure I'm respectful. She puts her stuff in one place so she doesn't forget anything. Like when we get naked, she makes sure she doesn't leave like any sort of underwear or garments anywhere. She polices her brass. She's very good at it. Policing her brass. But just very respectful of like...
But it's not like she's a stranger and she'd be coming back anyway. So if she happened to leave something behind, it would not be a big deal.
Right. But, it's a very good juxtaposition to the girl who just came in and evacuated her bladder on our bed. So it's it shows that like people are aware and do care. So like this is good, very refreshing. So she came over, and it's always pretty much assumed. That's why I call it a sex appointment, because it's assumed we're having sex. It's not like, hey, we're gonna go for coffee and we'll end up back at your place. It's I'm hosting, you're coming over, we're going to have sex.
I mean, if eventually we should segue this over to etiquette. There's no rule that you have to have sex, but in general, as a married person who's dating a lot of not married people, if I know I'm not in the mood to have sex, there are certain people I probably wouldn't go out with that night. There's maybe one person that if I wasn't in the mood to have sex, it wouldn't cause any sort of issue. But I would typically, if I'm not in the mood to have sex, that's saying something. That means I shouldn't even be going on this date and I need to stay home.
Yes. But like if someone, so let's say this girl, for example, if she said to me, hey, I had a rough week, I'm not feeling like doing anything, but I want to see you. Can I come over? We'll like either go for coffee or watch a movie. Let's go out for brunch, or I don't feel like going out, but I'll come to your place. We'll have coffee. Maybe we'll make out a little, or even that. It's not an I'd be like, okay. It can't always be sex, which is fine. But that's the part of being transparent, which helps.
Oh yeah, the person I'm going to see on Thursday, I already know what he wants to do.
And what's that?
He wants to tie me up.
Oh,
so that's what we're going to do.
So he's into the erotic Japanese art of shibari. If you want to look that up on your own time. I actually want to take a shibari.
Ties really great knots.
Yeah, so it's doing knots in such a way where they're on certain points of the body. They're like not looser,
it's
but
artistic. It's not
but they're done
bondage.
in such a way where it's not uncomfortable for the person being tied up. It
can be like bondage, but it's not necessarily like bondage.
And you can use the knots in such a way to kind of control a person and it's so it's
like physically manipulate their body.
Right. And it's something that there's actually a couple not studios, but like instructional places in LA, and I'm curious. I want to do it with her, so we have to schedule a night to go and do a training. The Japanese art of shibari. It's a big thing. If you ever see the term like rope bunny,
I'm not a rope bunny, but
I think you are.
I'm game. No, if I were a rope bunny, I'd be looking just for this.
You're kind of a rope bunny. Anyway. You enjoy it. You want me to do it.
I enjoy watching him tie the knots more than I enjoy being tied up.
Anyway. So this girl came over. We pretty much, we talked, we chatted, pretty much jumped right in, which is kind of, we sat on the couch a little bit and just kind of like made out. She sent me ahead of time a photo of a special outfit she wanted to wear for me, asking me if it was okay or too much. It was kind of like bondage-esque, but
it was hot.
It was hot. I would show you, but I can't. But it was very like,
I can't show you.
It looked
it's
like straps, so it looked very bondage-esque, but it was like just an outfit. Very sexy. Saw it in person. Very hot. So that was fun. We made out a little. Then we had coffee, which was nice. Coffee and chatted. Went back to making out. Then just went into the bedroom. How in depth should I go?
I mean, you can go as in depth as you're comfortable.
Yeah, it's just basically a lot of like heavy making out, a little bit of this and that. This is the girl foreplay. This is the girl that's very into protection, not only for sex but for oral. She doesn't like receiving oral, but she likes giving oral with a condom on, which I find interesting. And
she doesn't like receiving oral at all?
She doesn't like mouth oral. So like fingers are okay.
Fingering,
but
okay.
Like usually like more like outside rubbing, but whatever.
That's what I like too.
Yeah. She's not into that. So like just very like a lot of just like kissing and biting and hair pulling and choking and that kind of stuff. But yeah, so just had a lot of fun.
How many times did you have fun?
Went 2 rounds. Then she was like, "I'm hungry." Went out. I made her breakfast. I made her a nice avocado toast with 2 fried eggs and some greens, a little bit of everything bagel seasoning. We sat, we talked, we drank coffee, whatever. Then went back into the bedroom, made out a little more, had another round. Total of 3 rounds. And then sat a little, chatted a little, snuggled a little, and then she was like, it was like 3 o'clock. So she came over at 10, left at 3.
Oh, nice. That's a nice day.
We had a pretty
5
successful
hours.
day.
I mean, it's making it worth it, though.
Yeah. And then she was like, all right, I'm going to go. I'm like, she's like, what are you doing for the rest of the day? I'm like, I don't know. See. I'm like, what are you doing for the rest of the day? She's like, oh, I might go play a little bit more. I'm like, Jesus. This girl's insatiable. Jeez. But it was nice. It was a fun time. 3 times. Then Kristin came home. Well, so we went to take a yoga class. Kristin and I went to take yoga. I almost passed out in yoga. Came home. Then went another round with my wife.
I'm realizing that more than the humiliation type kink or any sort of rage kink, it's just I like sloppy seconds, specifically from my husband. It's like a turn on when I'm away fantasizing about what he's doing with someone else, and then I come home. And it's more common that it happens to me with a woman. And then I come home and he tells me like a little bit about it, and it gets me really worked up, and I'm like, ooh, you should fuck me now.
Well, good morning. Yeah, it really. I feel like that really excites her, but it was tough. It was tough on me. Like when she was like, when she came home and she was like, you're going to fuck me today or have sex with me. She said, fuck me. You're going to have sex with me tonight. I'm like, well, do I have to?
And and it doesn't have to mean penetration.
Right. And I'm like, I'm willing to take care of her at any point. I'm willing. But like, I didn't know if I could. I did pop a V in the morning, which got me through those 3 rounds. I'm sure it wore off by the 4th.
Half of a V?
Half of a V. I'm sure it wore off by the time that the 4th time came around, but I was able to perform. Definitely lasted.
That's pretty good.
Definitely lasted much longer than I wanted to, but it was just like it's just there. I feel like I lost the sensitivity. But yeah, it was a wild day.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how much you like marathon sex. That's not my thing. I'm much more of a frequency person. I'd rather have sex several separate times per day or several days in a row frequently than 5 hours of straight sex. That's not really my thing.
So
but,
I was just
everybody's different.
I was just gonna say, really fun. Like, and I know I'm bragging about it because for me it's like, wow, I accomplished that. But at the same time, like after the first time, I'm just like, okay, this is enough for me. Like in my mind, I'm like, we don't need to keep going. We can go out, have some coffee, maybe eat breakfast then. But like, I just kept going. She just keeps going. I'm like, okay. So I'm like, I'll provide. But like for me, I
also don't need like all that penetration.
Yeah.
I need breaks from it.
I don't need like to go that much. Like it was exciting for like the first, maybe second time. The 3rd time was definitely unnecessary, but happy to do it. And actually the 3rd time
it was sort of gratuitous.
The 3rd time was actually the hottest because it was doggy and like
in the outfit.
Not in the outfit, but like a little bit more aggressive. Like anyway, she wanted to have her hair pulled and a little bit of choking, and it was kind of exciting.
Which is also great because I don't like a major
like
hair pulling. I don't like any front of the neck or side of the neck choking. So
yeah,
it's exciting that you get to do that.
Right. So that was fun. It was fun to do. I will reiterate, based off that comment, sex with my wife is always the best. It doesn't matter what I do, what she doesn't do. It's always the best. Always.
I agree. Sex with you is the best.
It
feels the nicest.
Without question.
Cozier. Better orgasms. More orgasms.
I'll take a nice vanilla bean over Rocky Road any day.
Yeah, I am pretty vanilla.
No, vanilla bean. You have a little bit of, you're like very well, like a good flavor.
I mean,
like
I
you're
do
artisanal.
think people have gotten a little bit rigid about what they consider kink, but yes, I'm overall more vanilla.
So, that's my update. That was yesterday. Woke up exhausted. Little bit of a sore throat. But I think because I burned my throat on pizza on Friday night. So I think my body's like reacting to it. Sorry. Do you have any updates you'd like to give?
So
I have another update, by the way.
So I guess my update, I haven't really done anything the past few weeks. I've been sort of tired, trying to take care of myself. I guess the main update I have is about my friend from out of town who I probably prematurely jumped in the sack with a few times a few weeks ago when Christian had to stay out in order to accommodate.
Describe him like he deserves to be described.
Okay, the guy with the big dick. So the reason I probably jumped in bed with him sooner than I typically would is because he does not live in LA. And, you know, he told me, I come to LA a lot, but I'm leaving in a few days. And, you know, I'm really attracted to you. We have good chemistry, blah, blah, blah. So we saw each other twice. I saw him, the second time I saw him was a Friday. He was allegedly leaving Monday. Well, you know, we follow each other on social media. We're on a dating app that can sometimes track where you're located if you want it to. It's like, this guy's 7 miles away. And I'm like, well, what's up with that? You know, you're telling me these stories about how you're leaving town when you're right down the street. It just seemed sort of weird to me. And he was also sort of ghosting me, which seemed odd too. So what I did was, you know, my husband took this dating course several years ago before we were married.
Oh, the long-standing fans of the show would know the Art of Charm. They went by.
So anyway, while he took this course, he learned about this concept called negging, where you give someone a backhanded compliment so they desire your validation. So I said, let me just try to neg this guy to re-engage him. It totally worked. I let him have the last word, which in text universe is actually having the last word yourself. But I just started tracking, how long is this person going to be in LA before he leaves? And he was in LA another 2 weeks before. He just left like a day ago to go back to where he lives. So I was sort of annoyed. I thought that was just bad etiquette. Like, why not just tell me I'm going to be busy the next few weeks?
Right. And you
know, I get it. I get why you might not tell a single person that you're trying to get in the sack or someone who's looking for monogamy, but the circumstances that I'm in, how did he know that I wouldn't have just said, okay, I don't care. Let's do it now. I think you're hot.
So I can tell, you know, as your partner and husband, I could tell that this was really eating away at you. This really bothered you.
I felt stupid.
Right. I hate
because
being
I was
duped.
so easily lied to.
Like, I hate being duped, and I hate being like the butt of a joke. Insert butt of joke here. I hate that. Like, I hate when people know things that I don't. I hate that. And I could tell that you hate, as someone who
it's like, this guy's telling
very
me he's
psychological.
This guy is telling me he's already left for Indiana, and I can see that he's on a hiking trail half a fucking mile from my office.
So I could tell that this was really eating away at you. Like, it was really like bothering you a lot. Like you were trying to justify it. Also,
I also had a come to Jesus moment post-coitally. Like, I put all of this together. The second time around just didn't feel as good. It just felt sort of like it was just not as good. It felt not forced, but not as organic as the first time. And I realized when we were talking, I had actually said to him, oh, do you want to hang out on Sunday? And he said he was busy. He had another date that night. Fine, not a big deal. It's like, we're all dating several people, so it doesn't matter. I finally put together, because he told me more about that person he was going on a date with. He was just on Friday with me. He was just getting a quick fix because she was a single person who's apparently semi-famous, who's monogamous and was never going to put out. So he needed to be able to get through the next few days without getting laid, presumably by single people who wanted a traditional relationship. So why not call Kristin to get laid again?
It does seem odd though that he would just jump right to you 2 days later, knowing that
I'm thinking he's not seeing a lot of non-monogamous people here.
But knowing that you're married and that you normally can't host, it was very presumptuous of him.
I mean,
to reach out to you and be like,
I think he knew that the attraction was there because we figured it out.
well, I mean, you love that big dick.
We figured it out.
Honestly,
I liked it a lot better the first time than the second time.
But you liked the kissing.
Yeah, he was a good kisser.
But yeah, I could tell that since then it's been like eating away at you, and even like
I feel better
you
about
were
it now.
very reactive, and you're
so reactive.
You're never reactive. Like you're very calculated. You're very calm. It's a product of your job and what you do. But you were very reactive to this situation.
Let me tell you, it engaged him very, very quickly. I got a text back in seconds. Seconds.
Like she's always preaching to me because women are much more, I don't know, nuanced. I'll be kind, and nuanced. And she's always telling me like you can't just flat out just say this or be that, like to say this or do this or be this way. You have to do this and you have to be calculating all this stuff. And like she just did the exact opposite because she got burned.
He doesn't live locally, so I didn't have that much of an investment in this.
You got burned. Admit it. You got burned.
I did get burned.
And you wanted to throw some fire back.
And it felt good in the moment.
Felt good in the moment.
And he reacted as I wanted him to. And now I'm leaving him alone for now.
Right.
It's not like I'm fighting with him.
I don't know. It just seems like a little bit out of your character. And it still bothers you.
It doesn't bother me as much now.
It still does, though. But that being said, you said you'd see him again.
No, I'm leaving him alone in case in a month or two when he's back, it's like maybe he'll call me or maybe I'll text him. Who knows?
But, you know, that does lead into an interesting, not topic, but just comment. You know, we have preached transparency with each other and with other people. But I feel like and I even had this conversation with my partner this weekend, yesterday. Not you, the other girl,
Jay.
like Jay. Just how, you know, everyone is, you know, when you're dealing with non-monogamous people, it's like you know what's going on. You're in relationships. You just like kind of put everything out there. You have to have these conversations and just be open and transparent.
Not necessarily everything,
but
the important things.
But that's where it gets tricky when you're non-monogamous and then you're like essentially just seeing people that are regularly dating. They're still playing the dating game. So, you know, when you're honest with them, it can be a little bit refreshing, but it can also be jarring and not always.
It can be jarring to them.
And not always land, and they're still playing the game with you because they feel like they have to. Like they feel like, oh, I can't be honest because, you know, I can't put this out there because it's just going to backfire. No one wants to hear the truth. I have to tell it in this way. And, you know, I can't, it's all part of the game.
I mean, there is a lot of gaming. I don't
the
know
art
if
of charm.
I don't
It's
know
the
if
art
I
of
mentioned
charm.
this the last time, but I once was going on a date with my partner M, and another woman he was dating was actually joining us that night. And even that night on the date, she was playing games with me. Like, I'm so sorry to be crashing your date. And I said, I'm a married person and he has 7 girlfriends. What are you talking about? Like, it's constant. It never stops.
Wait, say that again?
The playing of games never stops. Like, and it happens with other people.
I didn't mean to do that.
Like the people who are all dating each other play games with the other people they're dating.
Right.
Too.
It's like I honestly wish people would just be or give the honesty that we give them, but that's not always possible. Like, and it doesn't always happen. Which is tricky because sometimes, so this is a good way to transition into the question we were asked. I want to go back because it was a really good question. Hold on. I want to read it again. From Funky Monkey. Hello, Funky Monkey. Good to hear from you again. Does small talk ever get too personal to where you need to stop it and redirect? I am an open book to a fault. I say way too much, and my wife is always yelling at me. She thinks I'm way too open. I reveal way too much, but like
too soon.
Too soon. I'm a
Not
talker.
too much. It's just too soon.
I'm a talker, and I like talking about things.
It can also sometimes sort of become verbal diarrhea where you're not thinking before you're talking.
Right. I have
about timing, about how to say things.
I've discovered in this process over the last 7 or 8 months that I have the Kavorka, which is not a real thing, but if you're a Seinfeld fan, you will understand. Kramer had the Kavorka, for the Latvian Orthodox word for the Kavorka. Like, he just has this power. I don't have this power where, like, women want to, like, fuck me. I have this, like, emotional power where when people get near me, they just, like, reveal their lives. They just want to tell me everything. I think I have, people always tell me I have very kind eyes, even though they're a little bit
You do.
bloodshot. And, like, big bags underneath. That's why they think these bags can hold a lot of info. But they'll just, like, bleh. So if they're doing that, then I feel the need to be a little bit more open and transparent. And then it just keeps, it's like a feedback loop.
So that doesn't happen to me quite as much. I don't always feel the need to just show every one of my cards when I'm talking to someone. I think maybe that's related to what I do for a living. I have to try to get to know people to get them to talk to me about their life for their benefit, not for mine. That can be hard to manage in a dating scenario because I have noticed there have been people that I've gone out with when all of a sudden they're telling me stuff and I'm like, whoa, this is now a therapy session.
Well,
that's too much and I'm not interested in that.
That's the thing. It triggers your profession. For me, I don't. I'm like, oh, it doesn't mind.
It's
I
not
like talking about
necessarily triggering. They know what I do for a living before we even go on the date.
For me, I've spent my life sharing, so for me, it's not a big deal. For me, it's part of the process. For you, it makes you feel like you're giving therapy.
I mean, I think some of them are talking as if I'm their clinician.
But I don't think they're doing it intentionally. I think
they're doing it by accident.
I think you provide an environment, much like I do.
A nice, safe holding environment.
Yes, a safe environment. People feel safe. But yeah, it gets tricky. So my New Year's resolution is to be a little bit more calculating in what I say.
Not in a manipulative
way.
In a like protective
way. Like not say as much.
Not to say that you're not going to say as much. It's they don't have to hear this all today. This is my first time meeting this person. I can save some of this for the next time.
Be a little bit more mindful of the information that I'm giving out. Because the problem is, too, once that information is out in the universe, it can be used against you in a court of law.
That being said, it's very interesting.
You have the right to remain silent. Whatever you say or do can be, what is it? Whatever you
say or do can be used
against you in a court of law.
It's also very interesting that just because people are oversharers does not mean that they're being completely honest.
That too.
There are really the only things that you're really obligated to share is number one, that you're not monogamous. Like what your relationship structure sort of resembles, just so people can have their needs met. But it's interesting that a lot of people withhold things like that claim to be non-monogamous.
I'm an open book.
I mean, you have situationally withheld or lied in order to get laid in the moment.
That's true. I have.
And I think that's a perfect segue over to your friend E.
So, to clarify what she just said, I did have a date. Oh, so E, we're calling E. I have a lot of E's. We're gonna have to be a little bit more specific.
That's the squirter.
The squirter.
So
we'll call her the squirter.
Let me just clarify. Let me clarify. What I mean by that is that night that she came over when I had like car trouble and all this other stuff.
When you had your manic episode?
That wasn't revealed to her. It wasn't revealed to her like, oh, my wife had a car problem. Her her date got canceled. Like none of that was revealed in advance, meaning she was kept in the dark about that until after the date. And the purpose of that is if you're telling someone that your primary partner or your anchor partner just had their date canceled and their car battery's dead, that guest is very likely to cancel the date. And you didn't want that to happen, so you kept it to yourself.
But you didn't want me to have that happen.
I didn't want you to have.
I
didn't want you to have the date canceled, but I didn't think that meant that you would withhold information from her and then make me sound like a lunatic to her.
Well, you did
in order to save face. But like, why would you share that with her and think you would get a positive? Maybe if you then said, "Oh, well, I didn't tell you, but her car battery died and her date got canceled."
But do you acknowledge that you behaved like a lunatic that night?
I was very manic that night. But you have to acknowledge that you totally behaved like an opportunist.
I did.
Okay.
I'm a full out. That whole situation is an opportunist situation. So this is the girl who is a squirter, and it's also the bull cuck situation. So her husband is the cuck, and I was going to be the bull in the situation, and which meant that I would, there would be situations where I would have sex with her, just the two of us, and like taunt him about it. And then there would be situations where we would all be in the same room and I would be having sex with her and he would just be sitting there like helping or whatever. So that whole situation that happened, what was that, a month and a half ago?
Yeah, it was sometime in December.
Kind of threw things off. There was almost a breakup, and I think we gave this update on the last show. Mm-hmm. There was almost a breakup where she was like, yeah, I don't want to be part of this, whatever this energy is, because she's very foofy. And I'm like, no, this was just like an initial reaction. She's processed. Kristen's processed it. We've moved on. Things are fine. Blah, blah, blah. So, I roped her back in, and I could tell immediately, like, the sex must have been really good because she didn't like run away. So she was willing to like figure things out and process it. Take a pause. But then the holidays hit, so we really didn't get a chance to see each other. So we actually got together. Was it last Sunday?
Last week.
Was it last week?
It might have been last.
That feels like
last Sunday.
That feels like an eternity ago.
It was last Sunday.
The time is just moving in such a weird way now. So last Sunday we got together. Agreed to like. So she had sent me a message that said she was thinking about kind of reapproaching this whole situation. Doing like she wanted more of like a personal connection, more of like a one-on-one thing.
Less the bull cuck kink and more a polyamorous relationship, non-monogamy situation.
Right. And I'm like, what does this mean? So she we use an app. It's called Telegram. And it's much like WhatsApp, if you've heard of WhatsApp. It's just an app where
actually, isn't it more like Parler?
No, it's like WhatsApp. It's a communication app. It's a texting messaging app. And so we communicate back and forth through that. Sometimes text, but mostly she loves voice messages. Loves them. She'll send me like these 5 to 10 minute voice messages, like multiple in a row, and I'm like, ugh. And sometimes, I'm doing the show, I'm on the go, I'm in the studio, I'm teaching yoga. Sometimes I just sit and listen to a 5 to 10 minute text or message is impossible.
Sleep inducing,
but impossible. And sometimes I do it on the bowl, but then I can't always respond. So it's just difficult to like have that kind of messaging back and forth relationship, which I've told her and I've explained to her. But anyway, so she left me this message explaining she wants to change things. I'm like, let's get together and discuss it. So we planned to meet last Sunday, got together. We met at one of a place that she really enjoys downtown. And, it was a little bit awkward when we first saw each other. I'm like, okay, where is this going? What does this mean? What's about to happen? But, we talked, had a lot of deeper conversations because we've talked a lot, and basically just laid out what she was thinking about changing. And she figured out that for her, this whole situation, even though it was kind of supposed to be for her, it was still all being controlled and like puppet master strings by her husband.
I think that's a crock of shit, but
Kristin thinks she had all the power in the situation, but she felt like even though, you know, bringing in another guy was kind of for her, she still thought that like the husband really did everything. So she wanted to reapproach the whole thing where it would still be a cuck situation, cuck bowl, but she would kind of be in control, do more dating, just be more.
So 2 for the price of 1.
Right.
Polyamory and a cuck bull situation, but the bull is going to be her boyfriend essentially.
Right. So
it's like 2 different scenarios, but it's one partner.
Yeah. So we were together for like several hours. We were just talking. We were at this place, like a little cafe, talking, laying everything out, having deep conversations, talking about life, work, you know, relationships, dating, blah. And then finally we were leaving. She had to go back home. I was fine, but I still came back home. I drove her to her car. We made out in the car for a while, which she really enjoyed.
Your MO.
My MO, car makeouts. I'm really great at it. She even comments. She's like, "You've done this a lot, haven't you?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm pretty good at it." So she was like, "Yeah, you know, maybe, you know, let me see how my week is. We'll figure out a time for you to come over. You know, I'd like to have you come by me. We'll hang out. You know, maybe you can meet my husband." She said she wanted me to meet the husband. I'm like, sweet. So things were back to normal. And then, like 2 or 3 days later, like I sent her a message on Tuesday or Monday or Tuesday. Like, "Oh, I hope your week's going well. Glad we connected. Looking forward to hanging." Wednesday, get a message, nice voice message, 5 minutes long because she loves the voice messages. And it was basic. She broke up with me. She was like, "Yeah, so, you know, I wanted to kind of reflect on." She does a lot of reflecting, because she's a very mindful person. I wanted to reflect on it, take pause, and come up with a word. And like, you know, while we connected physically, and I really felt that physical connection, you know, especially in the car on Sunday. I feel like, you know, if I'm going to be having one partner, maybe 2, I just don't feel like we connect emotionally fully. Like, you don't check all the boxes that I'm looking for. And I think, you know,
I think there is some legitimacy to that. She did reiterate several times this wasn't about like a lack of physical attraction, and I believe she was being honest about that.
I believe that.
I don't think she was lying. I also think that she wants a little bit more commitment, if that makes sense, and a little bit more in addition, like she pretty much said outside of her marriage, she would want 1, maybe 2 other people. And I get the impression she also wants those people to have maybe 1. Like she wants to be a full understanding. She wants everyone to be doing this exactly the same way, sort of, in terms of numbers of partners.
She did allude, not to cut you off, sorry.
She essentially alluded to you not wanting to see other women besides her and like me, obviously, which in theory is a big ask.
She alluded to that. Not in our meeting.
She didn't say it explicitly. She did allude to it, though.
Not in a breakup, not in our meeting, but the message before we hung out.
And I think you probably subtly made it clear that that's not what you're looking for.
I did. And I said to her, I'm like, my line, I had a great line. I said, consistency in the poly space is much different than consistency in the dating space. And that's true.
It is true.
When you're dating someone, you want to say it? When you're dating, do you want to say it?
No, you can say it.
No, I was just going to say, when you're dating someone, you know, you want to see them maybe a couple times a week. You're really excited. It's
when
new.
You're a married person who's having a non-monogamous marriage, you don't want to do that because you don't want to put yourself at risk of falling in love with somebody else.
Yeah, like that was, I would argue that was.
In fact, you intentionally choose people that you might have an intellectual connection with, a sexual connection with, a platonic emotional connection with. I'm in theory choosing people. There's no way I'm going to romantically fall in love with these people.
Right.
No way, because that is not what I'm looking for. In fact, I'm avoiding it because I have someone that I have that with. And that for me can't be shared among many people. And I think I'm surprised that as a married person that wasn't a priority for her.
We've even
that being said, their marriage is not traditional at all. I mean, neither's ours, but theirs is less.
We discussed
Sorry.
what the schedule would look like to her, and she even said like once every week and a half, and I'm like, that sounds fine. That sounds good to me. That's perfect. Because you're
And
like
300 voice memos a day.
well, yeah, but like I'm down to like I'm cool with like texting people throughout the day, messaging. I have that ability, and to message people. That's easier than like talking to people. So anyway, so she left me that message, didn't respond at all, and then just haven't opened that app since. So I haven't been online, haven't liked it, acknowledged it, didn't think it required an acknowledgement.
Just leave it for now.
And it's like, honestly, it's like I really was, like Kristin said, being an opportunist. To me, the attraction.
Maybe she sensed that.
Maybe to me, the attraction to the situation. While I did feel, I mean, I feel
like you felt sexual attraction to her in the absence of him.
I was, like it was hot. Like, it felt good. It felt good. That being said, I can pretty much insert myself into any sort of situation. Maybe I'm just a hypersexual person. Close your eyes, everything feels the same. But it felt
not
good.
like that for me.
I know. It felt good. Like I felt a good kind of chemistry there, but I like there wasn't a strong emotional attraction to where this would be someone that I would want to see on a regular basis. Plus, there's something about her hair. I just couldn't
Yeah, I feel a strong
past.
emotional attraction to everyone that I've seen, probably more than twice.
Bill wants to know if she took any photos of the two of us together. No, but I do have photos of her.
Well, that was supposed to be used for the husband.
And I did. I sent them to him. But, so that's that.
I mean, you left it open.
Yeah,
That's the other thing about this universe is you might hear from this woman in a month or two saying like, hey, want to hang out and see if it'll work because I'm in a different space right now. Like I've gotten messages like that before.
Like, so Lisa thinks that she was the opportunist by saying what I wanted to hear. I don't think, no, maybe. I mean, I don't think she was very, maybe she was like
I think she's femdom, but not in a BDSM sort of way.
I think she doesn't like, Kristin thinks, and I kind of agree with this, that she doesn't like that there's another woman in my life who can control the narrative. She wants to be the only woman controlling the narrative. Does that make sense?
Yeah, like I said, I think she's
Sorry.
Like she's to some extent femdom, but it's not BDSM in
Right.
nature. It's psychological in nature.
Like their experiences, the two of them have only been with single people, and bulls especially, who I would argue are opportunists. But I don't think. But that being said, I think that's what attracted me to her, or attracted her to me, was the fact that I did have a partner, which kept me very grounded. She constantly would say...
She wouldn't have to do a lot of aftercare with you.
She constantly said, you're so grounded. You sound so grounded. You sound like you know what you want. But whatever. For me, it was all about, like, this is a very unique situation. I get to fuck some woman. Her husband... I get to taunt her husband. He might be there. And
he was bi, so he'd also sometimes
right,
maybe
and also for me, it's a one-stop shop. I get.
Did you ever get any clarification about her sexuality?
No.
I suspect she's straight.
So it was very. No, because they'd had a girlfriend. They had a girlfriend.
And it didn't work.
Well. No, it worked they did it for like a year. But she's much more into masculine energy, which apparently I provide. But yeah, I was trying to make it work, and I almost made it work. But the fact that it didn't work is probably a blessing. It's annoying. I hate like getting rejected. But this wasn't traditional rejection. right?
No, I mean, it's not rejection. When we think about rejection and what bothers us, it's the sexual and physical attractiveness part of it. Like, oh, this person doesn't think I'm cute enough or whatever.
Right.
And that had nothing to do with it. It's like, I feel like she has a very specific scenario in mind of what she's looking for.
Oh, and she's not going to find
it. She's going to have a lot of difficulty.
She's not going to find it. Or she's lying to herself and she'll just take what comes. And I don't mean...
It's like maybe she'll connect with like a single person who is good at lying or a polyamorous person who's good at lying, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, she even alluded. She's like, there's so many options. I'm like, well, good luck. Because I've seen the options. I mean,
they're not necessarily... Yeah, they're not. There are a lot of options for women who are interested in men. They're not all great.
Right. It's like, I've seen what you've dealt with. It's like...
Just, bad dating etiquette.
So, that's where we are with that. So, that's done. That's not going to happen. I never technically got to... I never technically got to be a bull. Very sad.
No, but when you're a bull, you need to be in the room together.
Right.
Technically.
Damn it.
It's okay. You have
I sent a message.
Other opportunities. You have other opportunities.
Does that count? I sent a message.
No,
Does that count?
It doesn't count.
A photo? No. I agree with Dave Castilla. There's so much psychology in this world, which is why a mental health professional can thrive. What's up for you? What's next?
So what's up for me? Yeah, I haven't seen anyone recently. Haven't been doing much. Been sort of tired. I'm seeing one of my friends this week. These past few weeks, though, two of my friends, two of my partners we've all just been sort of distant from each other. So I've just been assuming that they're both done with me. One's more a sex appointment person. So I really think we've both just been busy. The other one, I thought, he's technically a single person dating multiple people, and he is in theory looking for a long-term committed relationship, and he's not going to be non-monogamous forever. I thought he's done with me and he's just pulling the fade. He's actually just going through a breakup with somebody else and not feeling great, but we texted a little bit today. So now I feel bad. Like, I'm making it all about myself. Nothing is about me. Just because other people have other stuff going on does not mean it's about me. So I feel sort of bad. But it's not like I hadn't asked him. I did text him a few days ago to say, like, I haven't been feeling great. Sorry I haven't checked in with you. Hope you're doing okay. Let me know if you're not okay or want to talk or want to hang out. I miss you. I heard from him today.
Can I make a comment?
Sure.
This guy. I don't understand your attraction or relationship with this guy. It doesn't.
See?
It hasn't made sense to me from the beginning.
He's cute.
He's cute.
Nice.
And he's nice, but he's very reserved.
He is very reserved.
It took a long time to
we professionally have a lot in common.
Do anything physical, but
it's like I had to kiss him first.
He's very
he's shy.
It seems like it's a very forced situation.
I think there's attraction there.
Is there?
There's just not enough. But you're right. He's not really my type.
He seems like a lost puppy that you've taken in.
He's not. It's like I would have to be a total dom to make this relationship work, and I'm not. So I'm just giving him some room for now.
I was hoping that this would fizzle out because it's like
it's seeming like it's fizzling out.
But you've had so many other.
Honestly, I think if there's anyone I could actually transition to platonic with, it's him.
But do you want a platonic male friend?
I would be fine with it. We work in the same industry, so that would be fine.
I don't want to be friends with anybody.
Well, that's the difference between you and me.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
It's like you don't have time to be friends with people.
I would be his friend.
What are you going to do?
Honestly, exactly what we already do, but just no sex and kissing.
You can't do that. Once you've had dicks inside, you can't go back.
I mean, I could do that. What you mean is he can't do that.
Well, as a man, I told you, my first partner, E, since you love speaking in letters, I even said to her, I'm like, I don't want to be your friend. I'm too sexually attracted to you to be your friend.
I feel like he's the one pretty much, not in words, but in other ways, telling me he just wants to be friends or he wants to be nothing.
And I'm still sexually attracted to my first partner, and I still see her, and we're friendly, but I
you're
don't.
not friends.
But I don't want to hang out with her because the whole time I'm gonna be thinking, when are we making out, and when are we fucking, and I know she doesn't want that, so I can't be that person's friend. Men think differently.
It's not necessarily even that she doesn't want it; it's that she's not going to do it.
Like Bill Jackson says, he's platonic friends with plenty of past. Like, okay, like I said, I'm friends or friendly with my first partner. I see her. We chat back and forth on social media. I see her at yoga. I help her out when I can. I helped last week. She was doing an audition for yoga, and I'm like, let me stay. I'll stay late, and I'll help you out. We'll go over things. That's being friendly. But being friends is a different story. I'm not going out with you and hanging out and going for drinks.
One night and you paid for it?
Yeah, but I felt bad for her. She was going through a rough time. I guess that's friends.
That is friends.
But I don't want to make plans. That was
just not gonna. It's not gonna be frequent. It's gonna.
That
be
was
occasional.
happenstance. You were on a date.
Occasional.
You were on a date. I was bored. I was just gonna go have pizza. She kind of the play. So people know the story. The place that we would go every week was closing. So the tequila, which Covino loves, tequila was closing. We would go there every Tuesday night. That was our little clandestine meeting spot for Taco Tuesday.
Clandestine.
And I'm like, we have to go. It's closing tonight. So that's how it kind of happened. But it's like, I don't want to. It's like, I don't want to be your friend. Like, there was a girl. Like, I took the one girl.
Malibu Barbie.
Be nice.
She
You're so
looks
mean.
like Malibu Barbie.
She does. She's very beautiful. But I wanted to test out and see, can this go somewhere? And she just wanted to
hang out
and make candles. And I'm like, nope, don't have time for this. I don't have time. If I'm not doing the act of dating, either other people or my wife, or working, I want to do nothing.
Or yoga, or
personal
development.
Or the gym, whatever.
You don't want to be friends with 25-year-old women.
Right. Because once again, if in my mind.
And talk to them about their bad dates.
Right. In my mind, because you know what that is too, and I've discussed this, I think I discussed this in our very first one, it's very triggering for me. I don't want to be thrown in the friend zone again because I spent my entire life there. So I don't need that energy around me anymore.
I know. How many years of harassing me did you do before we got together?
10 years. So I don't visit the friend zone anymore. It's not a part of my life anymore. So I just cut that out. I cut that energy out. I'm not bringing that in. It's gone. What else went on this week?
Let me see. Let me check
we
my
had
notes.
2 weeks. Yeah, you made notes. I had a hookup this week. I can talk about that. It really wasn't. It was a guy I connected with. We've been going back and forth. And just he's been in and out of town, and he's like, we gotta get together. Finally, I'm just like, let's just hang out. Let's go. I went over his place. Randomly on, was it Wednesday? And I think the thing that I got out of that, the observation, so I went to his place. We had, we'd expressed our attraction for each other, but I got there, he was kind of just chilling, very lanky, not my style, but he was smoking weed. I brought over some wine. He's younger. He's I think he's 29. And we were just sitting on the couch watching Impractical Jokers for an hour. And I'm like, okay, what's going on here? I'm like, is this going to lead to something? I once again, if I'm going to hang out with someone, something's got to happen. I'm not just going.
So make the move.
I'm not just. So I at one point I said to him, I'm like, want to make out? I'm like, do you want? He's like, sure. So we made out, started making out, and like I feel like he was entranced with me. Like he was like, this is intense. He's a guy that isn't usually mostly hooks up with women, or has been in threesome scenarios, but I don't think he's really been one-on-one with a guy. So it was a lot for him. But like very passionate, very good kisser.
Such an important part of it for
is.
me. If you're not a good kisser, it's done.
Yeah, that's a very, and like most men, as I've noticed, are much more aggressive in the kissing department or just in general. But when kissing,
I think bi men who have like a decent amount of experience with both men and women know when to like bring out what with what people. Like they're better at reading a room in general when it comes to kissing. But like men who kiss women only kiss a certain way, and men who've kissed mostly men kiss a certain way.
and I've done
Like
both.
and I can tell the second I start kissing a man whether or not he's had sex with mostly men.
Sometimes I forget myself and I have to like, I have a switch in my brain. And I'm like, who am I kissing? I'm like, oops.
Like the guy that we had the threesome with, like the second we started kissing, I'm like, oh, this guy's mostly been with men.
Yeah, I'm like, oh.
It was a lot for me.
Yeah, like
It
what
was
did
good.
you like yesterday when we were hooking up? It's like we're married. Yesterday when we were engaging in relationships, relations, you started like biting my lip. I'm like, stop biting my lip.
I
What are you
feel
doing?
like I'm doing that more lately to protect myself from like the massive amount of like saliva and everything else that comes with kissing. It gets people to like back off a little bit.
I hate it. I'm
It's like
stop
a
it.
puppy. It's like a puppy like nibbling at you.
I told her, I'm like, stop biting my lip. I'm like, what are you doing? I hate it.
Also, I feel like something you've picked up recently is you're doing a lot more of hair pulling on me and neck grabbing, and because a lot of people like that, and I don't like it at all.
All my partners like not even a pull.
Like I don't like.
It's like
I
where
don't
you
like
just
any,
kind of
It's
go
like
in the
you're
back, you
grabbing my
gather up
scalp.
the hair.
You're grabbing my hair by the
Yeah, and you
scalp
just kind of
pulling.
taut-
I don't like that at all. I don't like any front of the neck, even like firm touching.
Yeah. Oh, David Castillo, you haven't heard the threesome story? That was last. Or the last the last poly talk. Where was I going? What was I saying?
Kissing.
Kissing. Oh, so this guy kissed very softly, which was nice.
He's used to kissing women.
It was really nice, and I really enjoy that. I hate aggressive. Like the last guy I hooked up with before that was too aggressive. Like he choked me, and I'm like, no, I don't like that. I don't like it. I don't like it. I'm very soft. I'm like a little teddy bear. Treat me like a teddy bear. But one thing I noticed with this guy, and I'm noticing it a lot, depending on the person. I feel like he craved intimacy.
A lot of people do. It's a lonely world out there.
I think I think he went through a lot over I won't get into it, but he went through a lot over like the last year or so. And I just feel like he's been very lonely. And you could feel that like he wanted just like to be held.
So not just the emotional intimacy, but the physical touch. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, like the emotional, yeah, like physical kind of just connection, someone being there,
Being squeezed.
even just the talking. Like I feel like a lot of people don't just talk. You know, so it was just one of my observations. Maybe it was just him. I don't know, but I think a lot of people coming off what we just all went through and dating and the ability to connect. And I feel like a lot of people are they're looking for their person, so they're setting the standard a little bit too high. Not to say that we're below standard, but they're not as willing to let their guard down. Anyway, that was my observation. Something I wanted to share. Have you noticed that at all?
I've noticed that people they want closeness to other people.
I would argue your friend C is like that.
Yes, my friend C is like that. He disclosed to me, and he'd already mentioned this to me. He chooses relationships, like more serious committed relationships with all the wrong women. They tend to be either emotionally unavailable or somewhat personality disordered. So I feel as though he's having a hard time working through that. I feel like he's embarrassed that the way he worded it is, this happened to me again. It's happened to me before, and I just feel like I'm an idiot.
Right. Sorry. But yeah. So yeah, it's been pretty outside of that, been pretty quiet.
It's been pretty quiet. I haven't done much. I've mostly just like looking to see what's out there. I have my like one or two regular people that I see that I'm seeing less frequently now because they have other relationships.
Whoa. Hold on. You're not getting off that easy. Hold on.
Okay.
So you've connected with someone new. Actually, you've connected with two new people.
Okay.
And one person out of the country,
yes,
who will be visiting.
He lives in London and he's going to be in LA for work.
Right, and you've
like at the beginning of February.
And I think you've assessed that this might be a good type of scenario for you.
Yeah, like someone from another place who's just in LA, either one time or just in LA. Like they come to LA a few times a year for work or for vacation. And so then it's something a little bit more casual. I still want someone that I'd have a connection to, have things in common with, but it's not as much long-term maintenance and dealing with schedules. You know, I'm already doing that with two people. So
right. So that'll probably be
that's just sort of extra fun.
Yeah. But you connected with someone else.
I connected with someone else. So he lives in Vegas. He comes to LA for work like maybe 5 times a year. He's a big texter.
Right.
And like I hadn't been into that, but I've had time at work this week, interestingly enough, that I will not have beginning next week. So we've been texting a lot.
You've been texting a lot. A lot. Like I looked at, so, you know, we're very transparent with each other.
Oh, yeah. We look at each other's phones.
We don't.
Not without each other's permission.
I don't do that anymore. I've done that in the past, and I acknowledged it. We've discussed it. Plus, I don't know her code. But if, you know, I say, oh, can I, you know, show me the messages. And sometimes I'll read them. Sometimes I'll just glance and be like, what have you been doing? But yesterday, like I looked last night, it was like more texts in a day than her and I do in a week. And yes, we live together and we talk. Sometimes we don't. Lots of texts.
It was a lot.
I'm amazed at the amount of texting that you've gone back and forth with this person.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like for him, so he's been he's married as well. He's been non-monogamous for a few years. Feel like he's looking, you know, he feels that where he lives, he's not having a connection with people. So he's looking for people to do this with.
Too many showgirls.
I don't know what he's looking for. I think there's maybe less of it's probably more the swinging community than
what is Celine
the
Dion not giving him the time
community.
Of day? Is Cher unavailable?
Anyway, I feel like this is what works for him and his wife. They are looking for people that they can see when they travel for work, and he comes to LA for work several times a year. But I feel like this is part of the vetting process. He wants to make sure we can have a conversation. He wants to make sure that we would like each other as people. But yes, it's a lot of texting.
It's a lot of texting.
Texting.
You seem very smitten with him.
He's smart. You know how I am. I mean, he's cute too, but it's easy to talk to him.
There is smit going on. You are very smitten with him.
Yeah, I like him.
And it's very odd to see an emotional reaction out of my wife.
Especially for someone I'm not really talking to. We're texting.
Constantly. Like I said, the reactive nature of your big dick friend and the smitten nature of this guy. It's very odd to see you like bubble over with emotion.
Yeah, I mean, he's easy to talk to.
Easy.
He is. He's easier to talk to.
So easy to talk
He's
to.
easier to talk to than B was. Big dick guy. Ironically, his first name begins with B.
By the way, so David Castillo said you're going international. I may be going international. I connected with a girl, but I haven't figured out her situation yet. Girls are much, like I said,
She told you her situation. Her
nuanced.
situation is she's single and she didn't realize you were married. And she said, "Oh, well, you're married. I'm not going to date you."
It's in my fucking profile.
Which app was this on?
This was on Field.
Okay, that's better. I thought you were going to say Hinge.
But please. Anyway, so I'm trying to figure out how that's going to play out. But I may have gone international too. That being said, I'm hooking up with an Israeli guy.
She's a Kiwi.
I'm hooking up with an Israeli guy. Does that count? But she's very cute. So
She's really cute.
Putting that positive energy. I need your positive energy in the universe. Yeah, I've decided that there's like there's something missing, and I can't figure it out. Like as far as partners go, like obviously I have everything I need right here.
Someone that you're attracted to and have great conversation with, and you had it with E, and you want that back.
Yeah, I do. Like my first
That's
partner.
what it is. Just admit it. You know what it is.
Yeah, it's like I want actually
a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything. Like I want obviously good sex, but I want like someone I can hang out with, kind of goof off with. Obviously I have everything I need right here, but like. You know, I feel like she has a couple people that she can just sit and talk to. I don't have that. And yes, my sex marathoner is great.
When you're having that much sex,
right.
It's sex focused.
It is, but like
it's not exclusively.
But
sex,
we do
but
have.
That's the majority of what your time is spent doing.
We do have good conversation. She does have an accent, which sometimes can like. I don't know, not hinder the conversation, but throws me off a bit. She's French.
I don't think she has that much of an accent based on what you said.
She has a strong accent.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not strong, but like it's there. But like I just want like someone like fun and like someone that I can date and like do things with and you know, maybe just sit in and watch a movie or like drink wine or like I really
that's what I do with every single one of my people.
Exactly, and I don't have that. I don't
That's
have
all I like to do.
I don't have outside of you. I want to make that clear.
I'm that person who's like, invite me over so we can drink wine and make out and talk about shit.
That's all I want.
And then have sex after.
Like, you know, maybe go see a movie. Like I really did a lot of this with, and you're right. I'm trying to recreate a scenario that
and
I have.
It's not going to be exactly the same,
No,
but you want similar dynamic,
like
which is fine. I understand that.
So I want them to be cute. Like, you know, that's
you
why
want
I'm
the
like,
attraction to
I
be
want
there.
the attraction to be there. That's why I'm like, I was hoping maybe The Neighbor. Maybe I can revisit The Neighbor in a month or two. But like, yeah, I want the attraction to be there. I want it to be fun. I want there to be a good conversation, and I want there to be some good intimacy. I don't even need like full on raw dog 3 fuck session.
I mean,
sex.
It would never be raw dog.
You know what I mean? Sorry, I didn't mean to say it that way. Like hardcore. I don't
like
want
sex is like the idea of what sex is very fluid.
Yeah, like I don't need marathon sex. Maybe like one, like a little bit of like, you know, like just plain nice.
Like you want someone you can take
sex.
you want someone you can take a bubble bath with, who will then give you a hand job in the bath. I've done that before. It was nice. What?
Well,
it's like I said, what sex is very open to interpretation.
Hand job in a bubble bath.
It was great.
Yes. Hand jobs don't really do it for me, but sure.
In a bubble bath, it would.
Okay. On that note, that should be the title of this episode: Hand jobs in a bubble bath. See you next time. So, a couple things coming up, which will be interesting for the next episode. Can't do it in 2 weeks because I'm traveling.
Okay.
Which is
so we'll have to take a. We'll
do it in 3 weeks.
We'll do it in 3 weeks, and then
we'll
do
it
when
when I'm back from Super Bowl. Which is interesting because a couple things around there. I will be traveling, so will I hook up in Phoenix?
So the only thing that comes up for that is, as most people know, sex work follows the Super Bowl
Oh yeah.
And you want to be careful
just-
that you're not going to be arrested. I have nothing against sex workers.
Let's
That's
just
not
call it what it
that's
is.
not what this is about.
They ship in the
Prostitution.
whores. Call it what it is. They ship in the whores.
Anyway, you don't want to think that you're in an organically, mutually, with an understanding that you're connecting with someone and you're going to have sex, and then have it be that they're thinking this is transactional. You have to be careful of that. What are you doing?
I'm just turning up your mic because you're very quiet.
I am? Okay.
God, my head's huge. Gotta eat the
So
microphone.
you just
rest
have to
it on
be
your lip.
You just have to be careful of that.
Not eat it, but like rest it like this. Like rest it on your lip.
Okay. Is that better?
Pretend it's a big dick.
It's not big enough.
Sorry. Yeah, I know. So we'll see. I'll hit the apps. I'll
This
see
just
what's
shows
doing.
like how our personalities are different, because when I go somewhere, that is never on my mind.
Well, I'm gonna have a lot of downtime.
Yeah, I know. I'm not saying that I wouldn't either if I were traveling somewhere. I'm just saying when I go on vacation or travel or do anything
Actually,
like that, that's not on my mind.
I'm gonna have zero downtime.
That
let's
being
be
said,
honest.
I'm trying to connect with people who are into that. I'm trying to connect to people coming to LA for a week for business, and I'm trying to get in their pants.
Yeah, so I'll see. I don't know. I haven't really decided. I don't know what I'm going to be doing that week. I'm sure I'll be very busy. So I don't even know if it'll be an opportunity, but maybe I'll try it. We'll see. I'll have a hotel room. And also I'll be gone, so she'll be hosting more.
I mean, not even more. It's like I would host probably once. I've figured out I only like going on like 1 date a week.
Boring.
Anything more than that's too much for me.
Boring.
It's like I like to take care of myself and rest.
Boring.
I'm not boring. It's just the way I am. I haven't gone on a date in 2 weeks and I feel great.
Right?
It's been more than 2 weeks.
Sometimes it's nice to take a break. Like an unplanned, unscheduled break. So yeah, we'll see how that all plays out. We'll have some updates for you. I don't think I'm going to do anything. I really don't.
The other thing that I
don't think I'll have the time. Or, I mean, or I don't think I'll
do
be
you think
allowed
we have
the
time for one more quick thing to talk about?
We got all.
Okay.
There's no end
So,
time on this. I need more alcohol though.
Can you go make me a drink too? Actually, no. Let's start the talk before. So I get tested for STDs every 3 months. I'm actually a month behind. I should have gotten tested a month ago. I'm going tomorrow. And so we're trying to figure out how people who have multiple partners figure out how often they're going to get tested and what their sort of value system is in figuring that out. I know what mine is. Mine is people who have sex with multiple people, even anonymously, which if you've met someone once and you're having sex with them an hour after meeting them, that's anonymous technically. You're supposed to get tested every 3 months. Any more than that wouldn't really be conclusive. But I feel as though people that I'm talking to, including the guy who's the big texter, gets tested 1,000,000 times a year. Like every time he has sex with someone new, stop playing with my side vat.
Those pants really.
Right? My TikTok leggings.
You gotta show people your
Every
butt.
time he has sex with someone new, before he has sex with them, he gets tested. And then after he has sex with them, he gets tested. And that just sounds like a lot to me.
Isn't that like scientifically not?
I was
work?
just saying anything more than 3 months, even if you have a lot of partners, isn't really conclusive.
Right.
And in case anyone's wondering, I'm also going to do oral testing too. Blood work is only good for penetrative sex.
Oops.
Technically, people who have anal sex should get an anal swab too.
Oops. Like without protection, right?
in general, like I use protection when I have penetrative sex, and I'm getting tested every 3 months because I have more than one partner.
What if you're eating butts?
That's why I'm getting oral tested.
Okay. Do you eat butts?
I haven't recently.
Should get back in the game.
Only one of my people has liked it and asked for it.
Yeah, I'm due for a test.
But yeah, I can tell that this new guy he's not going to want to do anything unless I've been recently tested, and I'm trying to figure out what he considers recent, because he knows I have sex with my husband. He knows that I have a date on Thursday with someone that I'm going to possibly have sex with.
It's okay.
So I'm trying to figure out, is he going to be wanting me to be tested, like have results that came out the day before we meet? Like, is this going to be adequate? If he comes to LA in 2 weeks, is he going to think this test is adequate? Because I know scientifically it's adequate.
So why don't you just wait and get tested right before he comes here?
But I don't want to be having an infectious disease conversation with him about like why the way he does it is sort of like redundant, for lack of better words.
So why don't you get texted? Well, you are getting texted. Why don't you get tested now?
I'm going to.
And then
Monday.
get tested right before he comes. Literally and figuratively.
Because when I go to the urgent care to do it again, they're going to say, what the fuck is wrong with you? You just got tested a month ago. You don't need to come back for another 90 days.
Well, it's like getting tested for COVID.
They're going to say, your insurance isn't going to pay for this. You're going to have to pay for the whole thing yourself.
Aren't there at-home kits you could do?
Yes, for every different, like there's one for HIV.
Yeah. There's not like a broad spectrum test?
No. So you need labs for that.
Well, go to Quest.
I'm going to urgent care, and then they're going to send everything to Quest.
All right.
It's like, are you kidding me? I have automatic payments set up for Quest. So has anyone ever brought this up to you, I guess is my question.
People ask.
This guy's going to want to see the labs. Which
Yeah,
is
no
fine,
one's ever said
which
like.
is fine. I'm going to show him the
it's
labs. It's fine. It'll get emailed to me.
While I do need to get, I'm due for a testing. But I have been tested but not recently. But people are pretty like, as long as you're pretty aware of it. And like I say, I use protection. Not oral, but I get it. As long as you say you're being careful and you're using protection and you do get tested on a semi-regular basis, most people are happy enough with that.
I mean,
like I said, my partner uses a condom for blowjobs. Come on.
I mean, people should still get tested.
I know, but I'm just saying like
2 to 4 times a year if you have more than one person you're having sex with.
What if you have like lost track?
I mean,
let's talk next
don't
episode.
Get me started.
Next episode, I should finally reveal my count because it's going to take me that long to figure out how many people it's been at this point. I've lost
Since we
count.
started, mine's less than 20.
Mine's easily 20. Easily. And mostly men.
What is it called when someone tries to fuck you with a flaccid penis?
Is it called something?
I feel like there's a name for it. I was just going to say, did those people count towards my quote unquote body count? Because they're like easily half the people.
Jesus.
Is it called like rubber hosing someone?
You apparently know. We can talk about how one of your partners is into hot dogging.
People don't know what hot dogging means.
Butt crack sex. We have a song about it. I
didn't know that.
She didn't know that?
I didn't know that.
She didn't know it, and I played her butt crack sex the other day. She's
ugh.
like, what is this? Tickle sack? A classic? You know who inspired it? Did I tell you who inspired that story?
Who?
Leah.
Really?
Yes.
Did someone want to do that with her?
No, so
or
Leah.
Did they do it with
so her? It was when we shared an office. This was many years ago. But she came in and talked about how she liked to lotion up her butt cheeks.
Oh, yeah.
And then I think that led into a conversation about like sliding your dick in between lotioned up butt cheeks.
Hot dogging?
Hot dogging. And then it led to butt crack sex. So I feel like you gotta start letting me do butt crack sex with you.
Do you want to?
Like, you have such a great turnaround. Let's show everybody your ass.
I mean, I do a pretty. I mean, right now it's probably not.
Look at that thing.
So great.
Shake it. I mean, it's a little jiggly.
Exactly. It's really.
Look at those thick thighs. Yeah. Anyway, it's starting to get freaky in here. All right. Do we have anything else to add before we go?
I think that's it.
All right. So this has been another edition of Poly Talk. Hope you like the new logo. I literally made this right before the show. I'm like, give me a sexy font. And this is actually called like sexy font.
Is it called sexy font?
It's called like sexy something. And I'm like, Poly Talk with Spot Kristin. That's how much effort I put into that. But yeah, good. Thanks for those are the updates. I feel like there weren't many, but we've talked for an hour and a half, so it must have been something. Interesting.
Just relationship drama updates.
Right. Interesting relation. There's so much drama in the LBC. There's so much drama.
There are times when I'm like, okay, Kristin, control your face. Do not raise your eyebrows. Do not roll your eyes.
If everyone could just be honest with themselves and each other instead of slinging so much bullshit at each other, we would all be happier. So, 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
3 weeks. We should have some updates by then, hopefully. As always, any questions, feel free to submit them. If not in the chat, if you're watching this on Patreon, leave a comment below. And, yeah, Poly Talk continues. Thank you. Anything else to add?
No, that's it.
All right. Thank you all for joining us.
Thank
you know who you are. We appreciate it. And, yeah, much more excitement to come here on another edition of Poly Talk with Spot Kristin. All right. Good night, everybody.
Have a good night.